Welcome everyone, I'm Aidan Fry, Points Contact for the Venus Project UK, and this is our Monday study sessions on the Venus Project FAQs. This week we're doing number 16, 17 and 18. We've got Mick and Ludus here.
Yes, you do.
Brilliant. So number 16, you guys on the sheet, our answer sheets, we also have now a left tab which is just a general introduction to what we're doing, the format. I'm sure we all know it, but people on the video and getting introduced. So we can actually just give them the sheet now. Hopefully it'll be all right.
Okay. Oh, and also we did actually miss one thing. We kind of changed it, but the initial statement was that we are to ask each other questions that would only be possible to be answered by FAQ, right? So we would ask each other questions, we would try to catch each other out, be clever about it, but the answer is fully stated in FAQ. We haven't been doing that, but instead we've been just sort of asking questions relevant to the subject, or not, and usually it's a fucking interesting conversation regardless.
I generally thought that actually was the format. Let me just double check this. The questions are to be based only on what exists in the answer that the website gives. So my interpretation of that is basically what we've been doing. So we've read the answer, and then if that kind of like springs some extra questions, then we can ask them.
Your version is much simpler and better, so just run with that. Honestly, I made it all fucked up and mixed up in my head, so there you go. That's the cause.
But no, I'm just reading what's actually written here.
Again, through your eyes, and I love that it's at least possible now to just sit down and go, oh, so that's what you think. That makes much more sense. In here, it's just Pan's Labyrinth. It's sick. All right, cool.
No, that's good. All right, switching back over. So if you guys, you probably saw, Ludus, you obviously know, we're now cutting up the actual answers. The real answers. So when we get there, the one thing that if we can try and add this into the recording, is just to say FAQ number something.
Yes, you told me to remind you, and you now did that yourself.
It's good. It's a trick that I have. Ask someone else to remind you about something, and you're more likely to remember it yourself.
That's cool. It works.
I don't know if it's just about asking someone about it or what.
Oh, I do have to ask also.
Yes.
In regards to editing the video, if you do want any more in the future, I did notice that the one bit that will keep happening is this. So you'll speak this one way and then you'll switch in the frame, because there are many fillers that we really use, all of us. That happens a lot with all of us. See, right now. So if we do want to keep this face of ours in frame and without stuttering, then we will basically have to improve our grammar drastically when reading at least the official answer.
No, I think you're right. Let's try and get on that. I just, like, the way to fix that is to
try.
Is for someone else to repeat any stutter words as you're saying it. So then Mick goes, okay, but what I really meant was, I do that with my friends, that annoy me. And they say like too many times in like inappropriate places. They just go like.
But it's good. What else are you supposed to do, right?
Yeah. Just the thing is that as
like when
I'm doing it to myself now. As we're recording, we can't actually do that during the day. Sure. Yes, we'll try and be a lot better, or just.
That's the thing, though. That's the point. Right.
Sorry.
Just start the sentence again. If you fuck up, even if it's on the like the last word.
That's the thing. All I was trying to say is it's not difficult for me. It's just so long as you don't mind it being all swivelly. Am I making sense?
Yeah. I think that's absolutely fine. Like, you don't even have to take them out if you don't want to spend the time editing it. If you do.
No, it's really cool. And also, it would give us a picture of how would it look like if we did not have fillers.
Cool. Well, we'll try and keep that in mind. Today. Okay. So let's get on with this.
Good.
Saying to myself. So number 16. What can be the turning point of the future? Do you have any idea about it? Anyone want to start?
Yeah, mine's nice and short. I speculate climate change or technical unemployment will be the turning. Will be one of or both of the turning points.
That's cool.
Then no, I don't really have much of an idea.
Yeah. Yudis?
All right. Okay. I said, seems like it's automation of workforce in both mechanical and digital fields. 3D printing getting more versatile and cheap. Nanotechnology. The last one seems to be a mammoth of a turning point, but who knows? Because I really don't know.
Cool. I said the unification of humanity as a global population. When we set aside the artificial boundaries that separate us and join as one, there could be many turning points, but I think that this may be the largest one that faces us and may bring about the biggest change.
Okay, cool.
It's a kind of silly question because there's no one turning point. It's a false thing, but at least they quoted it, so you're supposed to allow that, aren't you? They don't quite understand what's allowable in quotation marks and not.
Right.
Okay. So I guess I'll read this one. FAQ number 16. What can be the turning points of the future? Do you have any idea about it? I see the turning points of the future as I'll start again because that noise is weird. I see the turning points of the future as resulting from a social and economic breakdown of existing social designs as older values become less effective. The direction we take will be forced by social circumstances and the march of events. Unless we accept responsibility for a more appropriate social design, we are bound to repeat the same cycle of war, poverty, hunger, homelessness, crime, territorial disputes, etc. Only with the intelligent management of Earth's resources can we overcome these problems. Our social design must also reflect the carrying capacity of the Earth and its resources. We must someday realize that the only solution is to mandate that all resources are the common heritage of all.
Sweet.
Don't worry, Meg. Cool, so they're kind of saying basically a collapse of some sort. Yes?
Seems like it to me, yeah.
Yeah. And really kind of goes to explain the processes of how people react to a system like that, a situation like that. Based on the march of events and social circumstances.
Yeah, everything does seem to just point to, again, the same. I'm honestly still confused over it, though. If they do, in their FAQ answer, if they do give a, to my understanding, an explanation which is, let enough people suffer, then they might want to seek change. But they still maintain we don't need the critical mass, which Peter Joseph kept iterating for the TZM stuff. And there's been numerous attempts to try and show that we don't care about quantity, we care about quality. So again, that's the reason why TVP has the technical database. They keep urging you to speak to, universities or architects or engineers or that type of people. But I'm then confused. So what's this whole deal about people getting into enough suffrage so that they seek something out? Do you see what I mean? I'm just confused by this.
I do see what you mean. It's an interesting kind of, what is it like? things that don't really kind of make sense, right? Don't really line up.
I mean, obviously, most likely they do. I'm only saying this because I have had many similar questions which were also dubbed good questions by people in the past, and they weren't. I just wasn't able to put this video and this video together, and bam, there's your answer. So, because I have had several questions which were answered in one way or another in book, text, video, lecture, audio, or live by Jacques. And so I don't know if it's a thing that isn't out there, but I don't have clarity on it at the moment.
Sure.
I'm confused.
It's likely to be kind of Jacques' kind of realism about how hard he thinks this is to do, if you know what I mean. What he said, but he also says, like a number of times, that the only thing we can do is to try. So, like, they're trying whilst they can, but what he really thinks is that it will take a shift in environment as drastic as a collapse for people to be pushed into a different value set. Generally, that's how I kind of maintain those two statements.
Again, well done. Literally, after you saying just those couple of sentences, flashbacks of numerous lectures and videos come back, and that's exactly that. Numerous times he literally, in 60s and 70s, don't misunderstand me, I'm not a humanist. And again, keeps repeating that same thing. I'm just stating that he states the condition, states the argument and evidence for the argument as a support, and then you have that. He calls himself a dirty realist, and I think, what is it, a mechanistic point of view, or maybe free will lecture in 2011? And
yeah.
Thanks is all I'm saying. Thank you.
I think there's a degree of, this realism business of managing their own expectations and trying to manage the expectations of people who come into this. Because if we kind of give off the impression that it's kind of easy, that we could do this kind of easily, and quite a lot of people still get that impression, and they're the people that come in with the expectation that, hey, we could do this in 5 years, I want to move into the community next week, yeah. And there's that expectation that then kind of kicks people out. Whereas if you set it low, and possibly Jacques has to set it really low for himself, because he's been in this a long time, and he kind of realizes his expectations. Maybe he's forcibly manipulating his own a little bit or something. I don't know exactly.
It makes sense, and also you really kind of humanize Jacques just with this sentence of they are managing their expectations as the people who are literally living in Venus, Florida. Because, I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm just going to say my own point of view. Most of the time, I do still view him as the dude who got it all figured out. He never ever stresses. He doesn't have shit like hang-ups or anger or sadness, which I completely forget. Things like Future, My Love, Maya Borg film, and she asks him very clearly while they're walking through the, forested sort of area between the palms. She asks him, are you not sad about the affair of the world? He goes, yeah, of course I am. But what am I going to do with it? If I'm just going to be moping around, all that stuff. Regardless, it's a very clarifying scene. But I forget that, you know what I mean? I forget that that's the motivation, not the, oh, I'm a mechanist, I don't feel shit, but I still care about human beings. No, he does feel a lot of shit, but the problem is that a lot of us, after feeling it, don't read fucking sociology or social psychology and engineering and other seemingly complex ideas. So yeah, man, that helps. But what you said about realism completely makes sense, and especially since all of these times when he says, but things could happen easily. He could literally get framed for possessing drugs numerous times, shot. And again, there was a funny incident. When I was in Venus, Florida, there was a man, what Jacques stated, oh, I'm surprised how I haven't been shot yet. And there was a man, I don't know, sarcastically, I think, pointed out, oh, because the project isn't famous enough yet. To him, it may have seemed like sarcasm, but to me, it's just reality. Because what happened to, Occupy. It got fucking crunched down when it made enough waves. So that's, you know what I mean? I can't see basically rosy petals or, some kind of golden paved way for when it does get big. Yeah, I just can't see any,
Yeah.
pretty images after that happens.
That's it. There's, I don't know. We don't have to go into it really, but there's so.
Sure, fair enough. Either way, you answered my question.
Yeah. Okay. We can say
Sorry.
a long time. But that's good. Do you have any more kind of questions around this? Really, I think you kind of nailed the big question there. So good. On to the next one. And I decided to write an essay for some reason. I guess I'll go first, and then we can go down the page. So, FAQ number 17. How would you describe the recent economic crisis? Can it be a lesson in today's society? Okay, that's the wrong one. Let me just make it a bit bigger. So I said, the recent economic crisis shows the disparity between economic measurement and physical resources. It exposes the reality that our entire monetary system is based on mutual faith in a currency that has no physical backing. Throughout the economic crisis, productive output continued to increase, increasingly through the implementation of automation to replace the workforce. This displacement means that we're creating more products and services at a lower cost of manpower. Yet current resources mean the current system means that the proceeds from this process are kept by the shareholders of the company, and those lucky few who have been freed from their often boring and repetitive jobs are placed outside of the system and are unable to benefit from the process at all. In fact, they're kind of downtrodden quite a lot. The lessons to learn are that we are independent beings on Earth, resources and each other. So to share the proceeds of the advance in technology and automation for all humans is the goal.
All right.
That was a long one.
Yeah, well, but it was a good one. Okay. I said, yes, but it seems only to those who are affected by it. Until there is enough stress and economic pressure in sufficient number of people, there seems to be little to no notion of revolt. Then again, rapid movements in labor automation may prove that point sooner than later. And I just realized that now my answer is not really relevant. Based on what we previously discussed in previous question, I just kind of see my answer in this question as not accurate at all. Mick?
Yeah, I was just thinking that sentence didn't make sense to me. Anyway, my answer is the debt clock only seems to go one way. And I don't think many people will learn the lesson in this society because so many people's lives are invested in the monetary system that they don't think about what happens with all these economic crises. Although I think it will become more apparent when we begin to get uncomfortable in a wealthy country like ours.
Cool.
What was the term? They already are using that in London. Damn it. One single word describing where rich interests move into an underprivileged area and push out the existing tenants. And
Yeah. Is it? I don't know if it's in London. The one that I know about is called the Brooklyn Renaissance. So maybe Renaissance. No.
it's one word and it starts with A, I think.
Oh.
Whatever. Okay, well.
Yeah, I probably know what it is eventually.
Yeah. Do you want me to read the answer, FAQ?
Yeah, if you want.
All right, mate.
Ooh.
So, FAQ question 17. How would you describe the recent economic crisis? Can it be a lesson in today's society? This could be a useful lesson if it resulted in a direction where this would not occur again. But most people aren't aware of the prime causes of social development and how that affects their values and behavior. They do not learn anything from it, despite going through the suffering. There have always been wars and booms and busts, but most people don't seem to learn much from them. Unfortunately, even when rational solutions are presented, people are not educated enough to amass the validity of alternative proposals. Yeah, that was a mistake. It was supposed to read, unfortunately, when rational solutions are presented, people are not educated enough to assess the validity of alternative proposals. Most people are not trained in methods of critical thinking, but only in how to perform a task to earn a living.
Okay, cool. So, basically, they're being pessimistic and saying we won't learn from our behaviours at all, and they don't really describe the economic crisis. But explain why people don't really see alternative solutions when there are some. So an interesting answer, not really answering the question.
I thought it was. I thought it was only in the sense where previously, in I think literally the last session on Hangout, you have pointed out that not always does Jacques answer the question they asked, is the question they were meaning to ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So right now, I thought it's really clever and very, I don't know, what's space efficient in terms of how many words are used to answer something, and to really package it in a way where he didn't just say that, oh, your wallet hurts. How fortunate. You know, he implied that behaviors are controlled by economic efficiencies or deficiencies, boom busts and shit like that. And the reasons why, yeah, it can seem pessimistic, but I disagree only because he says, right, most people don't learn much from them. And again, he bases that because methods of critical thinking and assessing validity of alternative proposals. Hence, why things like TVP are quicker to be assessed as cults or propaganda or what's the latest trend? The
Trolling or something?
what's the theory? Conspiracy theory. Okay,
Oh,
there you go. Right. So it's quicker, right? And again, why would you do that instead of going through, oh, I don't know, at least a fucking 8-minute video which tries to explain to you a concept? Is because of that. Is because I will not, do my homework. It takes time. I want to jerk off and go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was positive because they said right at the beginning this could be a useful lesson if it resulted in a direction where this wouldn't occur again. So it's like it could be a lesson if we learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, you're right.
Wonderful.
That was a bit too harsh on him.
No, I was also going off in all kinds of fucking sticks and bushes.
I think it's definitely a very good answer. Just when I kind of meant what you said, Linus, when it doesn't really answer that question as it's
Sure.
But yeah, it does kind of answer more questions around that area.
Shows my ability to fucking assess a goddamn answer as well. And Mick, you just literally fucking went straight to the bullseye. You know what I mean? You literally tackled exactly why their answer is, can the lessons be learned? The answer is no, unless it results in etc. I literally couldn't see that.
So, tricky question. Tricky, maybe. Listen to this. So, in a resource-based economy, would there be such things as resource crises? Maybe a crisis in power.
In power, control power or energy power?
Energy. I mean, say, okay, slow it right down. Pretend we're still using fossil fuel cars, okay, in a resource-based economy. This is what someone might say. Um, what I mean, the laws of supply and demand are still true in a resource-based economy. So, what would there be a situation where something is in such high demand that it gains a monetary value, or a value more than the physical resources?
Well, maybe it might, but that's what we'll be working on solving. Like, and I think when are you talking transition, or once we've got to like a global, like a resource-based economy, or like one city, or the whole world?
Let's say it's one city.
One city. In that case, I think it'd be a lot more efficient. So even though we're still using fossil fuels, we'd still not pollute as much because we'd be producing and distributing locally. So we're not getting it from halfway across the world. So it's an improvement on today's society anyway, but it's still not good. And you'd be looking to solve the fossil fuel for renewable energy, which I think as well will be a lot easier once you're using less energy.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good answer. Let me rephrase the question and give it to Ludus. So, I read on the website that the Venus Project wants to make a first experimental city. But one city doesn't have enough to create an abundance. How does the Venus Project cope with the laws of supply and demand? There isn't an abundance.
You educate the public. So far as I've heard, everything would be announced so that everybody would know. But also these problems are, yeah, I mean the substitutes would be worked on. If there isn't an abundance of something, substitutes are the goal then. So like the okay. Analogy could be used by a job bulletin, right? Needs to be done. Somebody is a employer and they need blah blah blah. They put the shit up, advertise it, and you know about it. It's the same thing. Well, but instead of some sort of, I don't know, weird jobs, it would just literally be what needs to be done. Who has the skill set? Oh, I do. Okay, go on the prompt. Likewise, these labs that would be instated, the transport that would be instated, is there to serve maximum need, and there to be done in a maximum efficiency manner. If that can't be done, everything is just given to you as data, rather than, hey, we have a new thing for you, shit like that. There's literally just, here's the spec sheet. If you don't know how to interpret it, go there. You will learn how to interpret it. If you don't care, then such and such. You know what I mean? It's all steps.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do A, you'll do B. But so the question, how will that be done? If it can't be done, it will be announced it can't be done. It'll be given an immediate priority. If it is an immediate priority, like food, shelter, or energy, and then given a estimated time and date when that service or thing or good will be delivered to the best of knowledge. Did my answer even actually was relevant to your question? What the hell was the question again?
The question was, in the first experimental city, there wouldn't be an abundance of resources. So would there be, how would the laws of supply and demand work in that situation? And let me try and phrase it, because I'm trying to get one of you two to say a kind of specific phrase, which is quite kind of hidden away in some of the stuff. But I wonder, so more specific question, and still someone might ask this. In the very first experimental city, will everything be free?
Oh no. It's okay. So I remember just one thing Jacques saying specifically. Everything will be provided without or at least in regards to talking about actual building of the city, right? I remember him specifically saying, to the degree that the materials and the resources will not be given, will not be sponsored, just simply, here you go, do with them as you will. The rest that still there's a need for, and you don't have it sponsored, that's where the money comes in. You will have to then raise money somehow. But that's the best I remember. I mean, is that what you're fishing for?
Yeah, so that was a lot more detailed. The phrase I was looking for was, they say in one of the things that the first city could evolve from a semi-cooperative money-based system towards a resource-based economy. That's cool. Tricky question.
That phrase, no, well done though. That yeah, I remember that clearly. It's stated on the FAQs. Well done.
Cool. I don't know if anyone's going to be picking you up on that, but if you tell them that there's going to be no money in the first city, and there is, then there might be. Sure. Say it's all a scam.
Oh fuck.
Cool. Anyway, random question over. Let's go on to the next question. Unless there was any more on that, then that's what
No, I'm good. Can I answer this one first?
Yeah.
FAQ 18. By the way, what do you think about the New World Civilization? I answered, I don't know what the New World Civilization is. I have no idea. What is it?
Myself, I said the same thing. I don't know what it is. I even Googled it and came up with nothing. So I don't know. Maybe it means the New World Order, but I'm not going to answer on that guess.
Well, then, in the same vein, I answered, I don't think about it. Even though I understand that this question is for Jacques or all people residing in the Venus Project in Florida. So my comment may seem obnoxious. But yeah, I agree, and the immediate inference that arises in my head is that it's New World Order, not civilization. Because Jacques, or fuck it, whoever did collaborate and wrote things on FAQ, they used words like New World Civilization. They did. But obviously in context of high-tech and science principles being applied to society and well-being of the planet. So not sure that's much to do with shit like Illuminati or I don't know, man. Honestly, I've read an article by a New Scientist, or no. Okay, I have to be clear about this. Not New Scientist, the blog called I Fucking Love Science, and they have written.
Difference there.
Right. Yeah. Big. And so they wrote a whole article, essentially saying that hasn't been such a thing as Illuminati for centuries now, and it only keeps maintaining by this public myth. The only thing that does exist is Freemasons, and it's just literally a bunch of businesses which just collaborate together. But that's nothing to do with people, rituals, and pigs' heads or whatever the fuck, and pissing on each other as initiation. I don't, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of hearsay and a lot of imagination at work, but I don't, you know what I mean? I have no idea. I don't really care.
Shall I read the answer, Aidan?
Yes, please.
FAQ 18. By the way, what do you think about New World Civilization? I must emphasize that the approach to global governance I advocate has nothing whatever in common with the aims of an elite to form a world government with themselves and large corporations in control, with the vast majority of the population subservient to them. My vision of globalization empowers each person to be the best they can be and to not live in subjugation to a corporate governing body. So I guess it was all about New World Order stuff.
Yeah, and you can take it at that. And he answered vague enough without saying, I think the New World Civilization is this. Just kind of, all that stuff, we're not like that. Quite a good answer.
Agree.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't answer the question at all. But it really answers the question of, is the Venus Project something to do with this big culty type?
So, During transition, here's a tricky question. During transition, if the scientists and engineers are running the city, what would stop them becoming a technocracy?
I'd love to hear Aiden answer this, because honestly, I have a lot of waffle in my head.
I haven't done a huge amount of research into technocracy, to be honest. So basically, my idea of technocracy is scientists are, they just have rule essentially, and they can tell people to do this, that, and the other, and that's kind of like law. Whereas we're not working within a legal framework, I would say, to start off with. So in terms of yes, no, you can do this, or you can't do this, it goes against the original principle. Obviously, the first city could be corrupted and be morphed out of what we're aiming for. But the idea when developing the city would be to have checks and balances in place from the start, rather than tagging them on later as we go along. As to technically what they are, I couldn't actually say. Generally, the thing that would stop scientists from taking over and just telling people that this is what you do and this is science is the education level of the population. As long as they can't be fooled about what is and what isn't science, then I don't see there's being too much of a problem. Because there's less vested interests in being seen as a real scientist when you're not, then hopefully I'll be dissuaded. Okay?
Damn.
Good answer.
I was thinking more in terms of, trust. In regards to, I know it's a shit word. I hate to use any kind of emotional sort of concept when talking about something that is so fragile like a first fucking city. But then the whole idea, as far as I remember, Jacques saying something in regards to, or maybe Roxanne, that these people who are there, the planners, the engineers, the educators, the media creators, they would essentially be there as the people who signed up for the job. The job is, are you able to provide me with such and such energy systems? Yes, I am. How are you going to go about it? This is how I would go about it. Several other people on the same team would then be would be the counterweight. So, all right, this is the next bit of the engineering process. What's the problem with it? Okay, here and here and here. All right, well, I've actually thought this and this and this is the backup for my original idea. Do you still feel the same? You know what I mean? It's constant. What?
Oh, hello.
Ridiculous. Are you out of your mind?
Oh.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
How did this happen exactly?
Well, it's an open link, so anyone can jump in.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Well, that was.
Well, yeah. What I was going to say, Ludus, would you say transparency then? So like transparency of who's doing the work, where they're doing the work, etc. And I did bring this up in a TVP orientation at one point. Like say if there's a group of engineers and scientists on a project, that you have like a person from, I don't know, a few other countries in the world that also want to learn how to build this city as well. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be just one country gets all the good stuff and
all the good stuff. I don't know, dude. I don't know, honestly. I still agree with Aiden. Any little bit, it could go to shit very easily. It's still, if we're talking about transition, how the fuck can it not? There's always that looming danger of, well, okay, I've done enough thing, and then there's some stupid amount of cash waiting in the bank if I do A, B, C, D.
Hey, I'm a police.
And so, obviously, I never know. I never can know the real
You're under
ultimate
arrest
answer.
from prison.
We're under arrest, are we? Okay.
I'm pressing charges.
So, obviously, no one can answer, But it's just that. You're there to do a specific job if you're able to perform it. And plus, like you said, the checks and balances. I think it's not so much the transparency as much as it is to do with the simplicity of, let's say the job was to install a light bulb and for it to work. So if you turn it on, it can't work. And if the man who claimed, or a woman who claimed that they can make the lamp work, you just check it by switching it on and off. That's it. You know what I mean? So obviously, it's a bit of a stretch in the simplification to say that it's the same for all systems in the experimental city. But isn't that essentially it? Whoever, programmer, educator, whatever it is, your data has to be backed in real world. The way you're going to propose how you're going to, let's say, educate the masses, right, about what's this whole deal about, and how are you going to be successful in persuading it. Well, you're going to have to base it on something. You're going to have to base it on, I don't know, previous campaigns of some other things which were successful, several other marketing techniques, anything. But it's going to have to be from something, especially if we're going to go with Frisco's idea that nothing comes out of an ether. Your ideas are not just sort of, oh, I just have to bring it out of myself. I'm a genius. If we do understand that it's cause and effect, I read some Tesla, I read some Dickens, I read some other crazy writers, and hence this is my drawing of a god, or whatever the fuck it is, So it comes from something. You have to observe, smell, touch, see, read stuff, and then you get this thing. I love when Frisco said, anything. What's these? Right. What is creativity? It's existing things.
Different combinations.
Right. Combined in different ways, and there you go. You get new idea. I don't know, man. I do understand that I've been waffling for a long time.
Lost it a bit when Dragon came in. And
Yeah.
Tried to join back up.
Throw me off.
I was just like fighting with him with the mute button.
There was an interesting thing that someone said earlier of basically trust and transparency. Interestingly, probably in the very first test city, they're not going to be able to be transparent about what they're actually doing, at least to the outside world.
Oh yeah.
Because people will steal the technology and use it to. If there is a capitalist system still ongoing, then they could use. It's the same deal with why the blueprints haven't been shared at the moment. It can be used to prop up the system, which eventually will cause more suffering to people generally.
Damn.
So yeah, there might not be transparency in the first city. It's very interesting because there's technically. I don't know exactly how you want to define technocracy, but the first city could well be a technocracy because everyone will be a scientist, by and large. Like a decent proportion of people in the first city are going to be scientists working on the next city. It's not going to really be a population there of people kind of just doing the normal things.
I was thinking with the transparency thing that like it would be like open source knowledge but then again, yeah, it comes down to whether the person is going to use something as a weapon or a tool. But I was thinking, like, at first I was thinking they're going to be building things like vertical farms and, like automated transport and renewable energy. So how can you use that as a weapon? But I suppose there's always some creative mind that might.
Yeah. And, like, hopefully as much of it will be shared as possible. But there is that case for the first city where it could be kind of tightly under wraps in terms of the actual technology that is being developed there. Like, you don't go to the Google warehouse and just wander around their development center or any of the big companies.
Well done. Fucking awesome example.
And it's a shame, but we're going to have to basically kind of have the front of a capitalistic company kind of deal just to deal with the outside capitalistic world. That kind of makes a little sense. And this is where it really could go wrong. It's a tightrope, but because the aim is to try and push the environment one way, but you can't really be outside of that environment, so you're kind of trying to slowly drag it along to where you're going.
Well, maybe like what if it's enough of a economic or social catastrophe, that's pushed us in that way, then I don't know, maybe it had come to a point like when people see people hurt, they try to help. You know what I mean? So
Well,
it's just how fast it happens, and,
yeah. I think the kind of idea behind it would be that we're developing this whole technology as other people are. They think that things are going to kind of generally be getting worse in the outside world. So the demand for that kind of technology will get higher and higher. So in the end, there's going to be such a demand for it that they'll take a lot. That maybe governments will take along the extra stuff that the Venus Project need. It says, we need this, we need this, we need this. The extra stuff. So maybe that kind of has a bit to deal with it. And I'm sure that they would like to be in a situation where they could have technology that could roll out and actually help people in crises to prove their own technology. If it's in Venus and say Cuba gets hit by a tsunami, if they have the technology available to help with that and to showcase how good their technology is, then I believe they'd get involved with it.
True, well done. Also, one thing definitely have to just drop, since my memory still serves on that subject. Technocracy. So, Scott Howard, I think, Howard Scott, the head engineer in Technocracy at the time of Jacques' membership. And the differences mainly were that, one, they never planned to be global. It was always for North America as a plan. They wanted to use energy certificates, which again, due to rapid automation and moving towards abundance, makes the concept somewhat unnecessary. And also the Jacques sort of, I don't know, I mean, it seems dated comment, but still it was a comment nonetheless where they wanted separate nations to develop their own, Japanese start their own sections, blacks start their own sections, so not really much for behavioral science. But then again, recently I read some articles as well which kind of claim that technocracy as a thing, as an organization, has been largely abandoned, sort of dismantled. It's not really active. I mean, obviously, I could be misled, but that's what I've read.
Yeah, I think I read a similar thing. And because basically the only time I've really read and known about them is through that Beach of My Love film, where she goes and visits the Technocracy and kind of explains them, but in a very art filmy way. So my knowledge isn't that good. The interesting thing was, did you say that they were going to use energy as currency?
No, they weren't. No. It's just energy certificates, which I honestly don't even know the full concept. It's just I remember these words used by Jacques when. Shit. Who's the guy who was the narrator for Paradise or Oblivion? Joel, right.
Is it?
Right. Joel asked Jacques in regards to, okay, well, Technate, that's what he called them, we're going to use energy certificates. And then Jacques followed through with an answer of, what the hell you need that for when there's abundance of energy, goods and services. Go to your local distribution center, pick shit up, go back, enjoy. Just not in my way, obviously. It explained it much better.
Well, okay. I was just generally referring to, I've heard of people saying that, and from like a physics point of view, you can maybe use energy as a determinant of this thing takes more energy than this, and that's an actual physical reference for some sort of value in the process or way to ration resources. But as you say, hopefully that will not become an issue at all because we have balance.
Still, though, on the subject of the whole idea of planners and engineers and educators and all kinds of other creators and contributors moving into the first city, yeah, man, the way you said it, I mean, your argument makes sense. That's the problem I have with it, that because your argument is sound, I see even more kinks, even more barriers to this supposed progress that we all imagine. So, as you said before, to manage your expectations, man, with this newfound, I don't know, logic, I suppose, I gotta set him way down, you know. Because even because this is the whole bit, isn't it? All the movies, all the things, everything, the fucking activism and the media, tweet this, repost that, and go talk to this person and try to influence these corporations or whatever. And if you do even get it to the point where everybody's like, oh, you need lumber? Great, here you go. Oh, you need cement? There you go. You need blah, 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 and all is there. And even then, shit could still go haywire. But then again, I mean, how do we find out?
There's also like a positive side, like when like some smart people and creative people like engineers and technicians, etc., get together and invent things that, like, have you seen the US TV series Eureka? It's like where a city where it's a sci-fi channel thing, where like all the engineers and all the scientists all go and live in one city called Eureka, and like everybody's smart as fuck, so they bounce off each other, you know, intelligently, like. The shit goes wrong, like, but they fix it.
Love it.
But yeah, like when people collaborate, you can get some awesome shit happening. We do awesome stuff in capitalism, so.
It's true, man. You're not even lying. All that space travel shit is literally happening because Japan, Russia, China, America are all collaborating, they're making shit. It's weird, isn't it?
But
Space is like this thing, you know? It's like this cousin you never hurt, and then the rest of your fucking siblings on Earth just beat the shit out of him, take the liver. It's like, what?
But you're right. I think today's space is very collaborative, but initially at least. It was...
Shut the fuck up! Yeah.
Today we just have this weird... Yeah, gonna have to do something.
What's going on today?
Yeah. Alright, well, either way, I mean, we are going overboard with the timing, so probably best to wrap it up. Wait, have we even read the official FAQ yet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have. Okay, cool. I lost all kinds of track, man. We're gonna have to fucking privatize this shit.
The asshole.
Why? What? What the fuck?
I know. It's amusing, but it's just more baffling than it's problematic.
I don't know what the hell is going on.
Can you privatize these hangouts?
Yeah. I can make it private and only people that I invite can join in.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit problematic.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain because, like, actually sharing the hangout means I can't actually just give you guys a link. You have to... Well, I could privately, but I couldn't actually paste the link on Facebook. So.
Okay. Well, shall we finish the hangout?
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't happen next week. I've got some strange people that have added me, so I might block them. Cool. Yeah, sorry. Oh, we're still recording. Alright. Thanks, everyone. Next week we'll do 19, 20, and 21.